Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great week so far. So recently there has been a great hype and expectation for the approval of the Bitcoin spot ETFs and had been priced into the Bitcoin prices, which made Bitcoin price go up more than double in the second half of 2023. Now after the SEC's approval of the spot ETFs, Bitcoin and all the crypto related stocks are plummeting, but I think this was a pullback that was obviously expected due to the profit taking from the institutions. Now I personally do think that after this pullback, both Bitcoin and crypto related stocks will have a huge rebound, and one of the stocks that I'm very excited about is Coinbase. Now just because I'm very excited about this stock, it doesn't mean that I would jump on the stock at any price, but I'm analyzing the charts and keeping an eye on major support levels to see if the stock price could hold that level or break through. Now being very interested and excited about Coinbase, I wanted to share what the CEO of the company, Brian Armstrong, had to say about Coinbase and how he thinks the company will benefit in a huge way after the approval of the spot ETFs. 2024 and 2025 may be the year for crypto with the Bitcoin halving coming up in April. So you may want to keep an eye on these crypto related stocks along with Bitcoin itself. So with that, let's hear what Brian had to say about Coinbase and how the approval of the spot ETFs will benefit the company in the upcoming years. Now before getting into the interview, I just wanted to share that Moomoo is having a great promotion, giving out 15 free stocks and also giving out a total of 8.1% annual interest rate for the first 3 months on your cash portion as you open an account, and then from month 4 giving out 5.1%, which is better than most of the saving accounts out there. So if you're interested in receiving the 15 free stocks, make sure you click the link in the description below.
This is a monumental step for the crypto industry and for Coinbase too. And the reason is that, look, there's 52 million Americans who have been using crypto over the past decade. And I think they've been hungry for some kind of acknowledgement from the government and the SEC in particular that this asset class is here to stay. And they finally got that. It finally happened. We had a number of ETFs approved. Of course, it was a big day for Coinbase too, because we were named as the custodian in 10 out of 13 of these applications. So I think this means that over time, we'll see new pools of capital come into Bitcoin. But more importantly, we had a huge regulatory milestone that showed the legitimizing power of this industry.
How much does this impact your business?
Well, we're not sharing any kind of projections or revenue numbers, but I can tell you this is very win-win. And the reason is that, yes, we're going to generate revenue as the custodian of 10 out of 13 of these ETFs. And that's great for these new pools of capital that want to come in and get exposure to Bitcoin. But our existing customers and our retail app where, we've had all these people come in and get crypto to date, they don't just want exposure to Bitcoin. They also want to use Bitcoin for a variety of things. They want to use the other crypto assets out there for commerce and staking and Web3 and decentralized identity. And so, this is the future of money we're talking about here.
There are going to be people who have wanted to get access to the Bitcoin world, to invest in Bitcoin. Historically, the only real way they could do that was to use Coinbase, for example, to buy Bitcoin and hold it. Now they're going to be able to buy a Fidelity ETF or the Grayscale ETF or the BlackRock ETF. How does that impact your business? Now, I know you're the custodian on one end, but it also means that those customers don't necessarily have to get an account on Coinbase.
People who've been buying crypto for the last decade and using it, the 52 million Americans, they already had an option, right? They could come to Coinbase and they're going to continue to do that. This ETF is really about unlocking new pools of capital that weren't previously available. They didn't have a way to get exposure to crypto. And so now they can come in and get exposure to Bitcoin. That's great. New pools of capital come in, but that's kind of the first step in people's journey around crypto. Once they get a little bit of exposure to the asset class, they start to think about, okay, well, how might this be used in different ways? And crypto is the future of money. It's going to enable people to unlock all kinds of utility, which we can talk about if you want. But I think many of them will graduate from ETFs to actually holding it directly and then starting to use it directly.
So I personally agree with what Brian said, where the SEC approval of the spot ETFs did prove in a way that Bitcoin is now an asset that mostly will be here to stay in the future. Whereas during this journey of a decade trying to get Bitcoin ETF approvals, many were skeptical about cryptocurrencies, thinking that it was a scam and that the SEC would never approve Bitcoin ETFs. Now, I do think that in order for the SEC to put their names out there and approve the ETFs, they must have done a ton of research, making sure that they were confident that they were approving an asset class that is here to stay, and I'm sure that they would not have approved the Bitcoin ETFs if they thought Bitcoin was just a temporary hype and a scam that would go away, because it would hurt their reputations. Now, since Bitcoin is most likely here to stay and the spot ETFs are approved, the institutions will need to, first of all, buy Bitcoin from an exchange, which most likely would be Coinbase, and will also need to keep Bitcoin safe and secure so that they would never lose their private keys, in which if they do, that means that they would lose all their Bitcoins. Now, during the spot ETF approval process, Coinbase was named as the custodian for 10 out of the 13 ETF applications, which would definitely benefit their business. And as you may know, there has been several scams like FTX and also issues with Binance, making Coinbase more reliable and giving them a great moat. Now, with the institutions coming into the crypto space, there will be a huge demand for Bitcoin, and in my opinion, this will increase the revenue for Coinbase as well. Now, another point to think about is that once people get used to the Bitcoin ETFs, there will definitely be people, especially the millennials, wanting to start using it for actual use cases, and that would increase transactions as well. Now, another scenario that you may want to think about is that if Bitcoin price takes off after the Bitcoin halving, such as it did in the past patterns, after a certain period of time, there will be a rush into the altcoins for better returns, and Coinbase again will be a major exchange for the transactions as well. So again, if the crypto market is here to stay, Coinbase will be a stock that you may want to keep a close eye on, in my opinion. Now let's see what Brian had to say about the future approvals of other crypto ETFs.
In a blog post, you say that spot Ether, a spot Ether ETF, can quickly follow. How soon do you think that happens? And then beyond that, is it Solana? Is it you name the coin? I mean, how do you see this playing out?
Yeah, well, obviously that's not entirely in our hands, so I can't give you an exact date. But I do think that this will hopefully pave a way for other crypto assets to have their own ETFs. And then, frankly, we should have index funds for crypto assets too, just like the S&P 500. Hopefully maybe one day it'll be the Coinbase 500 or something like that. And you could even imagine different index funds that focus on, DeFi or staking or NFTs or different subsets of the crypto market. So this is a really important new area of the financial markets, and I think that it'll have all kinds of new products come to market after this.
Obviously, Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin has been on a tear, in large part, arguably, because of speculation that this day was going to come. What do you think that means and portends for the price of Bitcoin in the short term and in the long term?
Well, I try not to ever focus too much on the short term. The volumes today I didn't see any major price movements happen, but I think you're right. Over the last 2 to 3 months, the market did move up quite a bit, and probably that was at least in part due to the anticipation of these approvals. So look, I'm optimistic on that. I think these approvals will bring in new pools of capital over the coming many years. I try to take a long-term perspective on this, and we really just want to help 1 billion or more people hopefully benefit from this technology on Coinbase's platform. We're not so much interested in the day-to-day movements of it.
Now, I really like how he was saying that he would like to see a Coinbase 500 index one day, which I do think might be a possibility in the long term. But I think he had a great point where he was saying that now that the SEC has approved the Bitcoin spot ETFs, it may be time for the Ethereum ETFs to be approved next. Now, if the Ethereum ETFs also get approved, I really think there will be much more hype in the space and a lot more capital pouring into the crypto assets and ETFs. Now, even if ETFs for other coins are approved, they will again mostly be using Coinbase as the exchange, since institutions will not take any risk whatsoever on any exchanges that had any issues in the past. So eventually, I think Coinbase will be the major winner in the space if cryptocurrencies are here to stay in the future. Now, only time will tell, but I thought it would definitely be worth keeping an eye on this company, especially in 2024, since we have the Bitcoin halving coming up in a couple months. So with that, I hope this interview with Brian Armstrong about Coinbase and also about the crypto space in general was helpful for your investments. Thank you very much for watching and hope to see you on my next videos.